Reporting on the Peterloo Massacre for the Times newspaper, John Tyas described how the cavalry, after brandishing their sabres, cut indiscriminately through the crowds in an attempt to take their flags and banners. In this painting, we can see the man who commanded one section of the Manchester and Salford Yeomanry that day. This is Hugh Hornby Birley. Birley was a Manchester mill owner, a man known for his conservative political views, as well as for his harsh treatment of his workers. This was quite typical for the yeomanry. It was reported by observers that it was Birley who gave the orders for the Manchester Yeomanry to attack the crowds. He was also said to be the first of the cavalry to arrive at the hustings in an attempt to arrest the radical speaker Henry Hunt and attacking anyone in his way. Eyewitness reports also indicate that Birley was responsible for a number of the deaths and injuries sustained by the men, women and children present. John Lee, one of the protesters, said he was sabred on the hip while down in the crowd, and that Captain Birley, after passing him, then returned to cut him again. Another protester, William Marsh, who had come to Manchester from Chawton with 6 children, was cut by a sabre on the back of the head, while the bone in his leg was splintered from the crushing of the crowds. Marsh later stated in the Poor Records that he had 3 children working in Birley's factory. When Birley learned that their father had been in attendance at St Peter's Field, he sacked all 3 of them. Birley, with 3 others from the Manchester Yeomanry, was eventually brought to trial 3 years after the Peterloo Massacre. He was charged with the open attack on the Middleton hatter, Thomas Redford. And now, despite shocking witness statements, Birley and the others were acquitted. Their violent actions, it was held, were justified in dispersing an illegal gathering. Birley was actively supported and rewarded by the government. Even his legal costs were covered by the government. Far from being a hindrance, many of those who had led the Peterloo Massacre were promoted and thrived. Birley eventually became a magistrate and the Deputy Lieutenant for Lancashire. His success, as evidenced by this grand portrait, stands in stark contrast to the absence of images of those killed at Peterloo, reminding us that whose history is preserved is often tied to questions of class and power. The portrait was donated to the museum in 2018 by Dr Rick Birley, the great-great-great-grandson of Hugh Hornby Birley. The painting had been in the family collection for generations, but Dr Birley, angry at the injustices committed by his ancestor, decided he wanted the portrait to be in the collections of the People's History Museum. Here, Hugh Hornby Birley's role in the Peterloo Massacre can be examined critically and never forgotten.